but brother, you're never fully dressed without a smile. Your clothes may be Beau Bromley, they stand out a mile, but brother, you're never fully dressed without a smile. Who cares what they're wearing on Main Street or Savile Row? It's what you wear from ear to ear and not from head to toe that matters. So, senator, so, janitor, so long for a while. Remember, you're never fully dressed without a smile. Boop, boopy doo. Oh, here come everyone. Hi, Michelle. Wait a minute. I got to see if Elaine is here first. Where's Elaine? I don't see Elaine yet. Uh-oh. I hope Elaine's okay, because that's not like her. Hey, Hobo Man. Hey, Dapper Dan. Isn't that a great tune? Love that song. All those Annie songs. Actually, it comes from a lot further back than just Annie, I believe. All right. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I thank you, Stephanie. I like it too. Knoxville, Roseanne. There's Michelle, I said, from Chico. Very nice. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. So we will get right into it. Let me hang up my phone. I didn't realize I was still on. My husband helps me set this all up, and I've done it so many times I pretty much know how to do it, but just in case I need him, and he's out of town right now. So but I've got Buster right here by my side, and my mother's already put to bed. All is well, and we're ready to get going. So tonight we're going to talk. Let me first tell you who I am in case you're new. I'm Joette Calabrese. I'm a homeopath, and I teach these. We meet every Monday night, Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. And we usually go over my materia medica, which is this. Now, I should let you know, for those of you who are new, there are many materia medicas. Materia medica means the material of the medicines. And so I have written one that I use as our base, but there are many homeopathic materia medicas, and they're all good. I don't think I've ever seen a materia medica that I didn't think was good, because much of what's in a materia medica is already known and established in homeopathy over the last 200 plus years. But what I love about them, as they're written by different authors, even though it's an anthology of all of the medicines in alphabetical order, what I love about them is that each one has the flavor of the author, just slightly different. Kent's Materia Medica is written one way, and now I'm trying to remember my Materia Medicas that I own. Fatak is written in another way, and Robin Murphy writes his in a different way. And everyone's got their personal style, which is really great, because you don't want to just learn only one aspect of homeopathy. You want to learn especially the clinical experiences of the great minds in homeopathy. So those great educators and homeopathic physicians of the past are certainly some of the materia medicas that you want to own. So tonight we're going to talk about one of the best medicines I know for labor. And I've used it myself. I wish I had used it for my first birth, my first child, but I didn't know anything about, well, actually, I knew very little about homeopathy at the time. I certainly didn't know about this medicine. The name of the medicine is Caulophyllum, 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 and it's blue cohosh. For those of you who know botanicals, it's blue cohosh, and you can use it in its gross form, but in homeopathic form, it's even more efficacious. It's a beautiful thing. It's the first time I learned about Caulophyllum was from someone who had studied, I believe, in France, and they were taught to use Caulophyllum in a 6X because in those days we didn't have much ability to get 6Cs back in the early 80s. but 6X, and use it daily, twice a day, every day for the last couple of months of pregnancy. And what it does is it has a history of being able to tone the uterus so that when the birth, when the labor begins, it's easier. So I loved that idea because I planned on having more children than just one at the time. But then I learned, no, another homeopath told me, no, don't ever do that. That's not classical. You should not do it that way. That's too frequent. And instead, what you should use is only as needed at the time of labor, should the labor be stalled. I actually think it's useful in both situations. The first situation I would use for a mom who knows that she has a little problem with labor and that she might prolong a little bit because she's had other births that way. And so to rev things up, she starts using the 6X of Caulophyllum, maybe the last 2 months of pregnancy. And then keeping Caulophyllum in a higher potency, this is not high, but higher. I consider 200 potency not high. I consider it pretty much at medium. You keep a Caulophyllum in a 200 potency for if there is a stalling during labor. And it is a remarkable medicine. Now, those are the two kind of extremes there, or not extremes, two aspects. But there's another middle aspect as well. And that's about the time when the mother feels as though she's about to go into labor or she's already started labor. That's another time that Caulophyllum 200 can be set into motion. And that in that case, we might use it, I would say maybe every couple of hours during labor. It's particularly valuable for moms who are not dilating. Or the doctor says something like, I'll never forget this. This was a friend of mine who shared this with me years ago. When she wasn't progressing in her labor, she knew nothing about homeopathy. She wasn't progressing, and the doctor wanted to prep her for a C-section. And she said, no, I don't want a C-section. No, let me just do this. We'll do. And he was getting disgusted with her because it was taking too long. And he finally said to her, do you want this baby or not? Nah, I don't think so. Changed my mind. Kind of a rhetorical question, but we know what his implication was. Come on, either you want this baby or not. It was a sarcastic and very insensitive thing to say to her. She never forgot it. And to be honest, I never forgot it because I found it to be very insensitive. So what she could have used at the time was Caulophyllum because it wasn't moving along. The labor was not progressing fast enough. Another aspect of this is that there's a lot of anxiety and fear during the childbirth or around childbirth. Now, I like this medicine, and I would use that in a 200 too, by the way. I like this medicine for that. But there are others that I've talked about in my feminopathy course. One of them is aconitum. We've talked about that many times on Facebook Live. Aconitum is great for anxiety and fear during labor especially. And I like to use that in a 200C. And also another thing that's really good, another way to use Caulophyllum is when the birth is completed, the baby is born. However, the placenta has not birthed yet. And there's no doubt that there is a specific timing for that. That's actually a little more important that we move things along at a certain timing because that can set up to cause hemorrhaging in a mother and other complications, even the potential of an infection, although that wouldn't happen for some time. But we do want to see that placenta birthed shortly after the mother gives birth to the baby. And so if it's not moving along, then, or there's any stall, or someone says this uterus is incompetent, that's the legal term, the medical term. It's not a very kind term again. But if anyone ever says that the uterus is incompetent or it's stalling or this is not happening fast enough, she's not dilating quickly enough, all of those words, you have to get those words and interpret them to mean, caulophyllum. And in that case, I would always use it in a 200 potency. Do I have anything else I want to add to this? It can be very quick acting. And if the birth is, the mother's going to birth in the hospital and she decides to take this at home because she feels it should be moving along a little faster, be prepared. In some cases, we actually see it happening at home. The birth just happens. It can actually occur that quickly in some women or on the way. And so you do have to be mindful of how much time it's going to take you to get to the hospital. Now, my first birth was very long, 47 hours. It was very long. I believe now, when I look back, that the reason probably was because I was vegan and I was undernourished. I thought I was nourished, but I don't think I was. And I think it made for a longer labor. And I knew nothing about Caulophyllum at the time. By the time I get to my second child, it was a good 5 years. And by that time, I had switched to family farm meat and pasture meat, etc., and embraced it fully. And that birth, whether it was from my diet change and or the use of Caulophyllum, I was using Caulophyllum in a 6, the way I told you I'd learned years earlier. And I was using it twice a day, I would say for probably the last 2 or 3 weeks. And that birth was 4 hours. And then my third birth, and I was in my 40s, by the way. And my third birth was with Caulophyllum. I was 43 years old, and it lasted 1 hour and 50 minutes. And he was 10 pounds. And if you've been reading my blog, I'm 5 feet tall. So I'm not so sure it really matters how large the mother is in order to be able to deliver a very big baby. My second baby was 8 pounds. The third one was 10 pounds. And so, but no trouble. I had no problems at all. They were home births. They were wonderful. And I can't tell you enough how great this medicine can be for most moms. So there's Elaine. I'm going to go down and see. Hi, Wanda from Ontario. Yep, you just had that huge storm in Ontario last, I guess it was the 31st on Halloween. Let's see if we've got any questions that are pertinent to tonight. Please, let's try to keep it on this subject if we could. And hi, Tammy. What do we have here? See if we have any questions. I used it with 5 labors the last month, 2 times a week. Excellent. That's the way, yeah, last couple of weeks. Beautiful. Hope that meant it was easy for you. Let us know. 28 years ago, I was given blue cohosh when my labor stalled. 2 hours later, I had my son. It sure worked, but I can testify that it tasted worse than anything I have ever tasted. I wish I knew about homeopathy back then. Yeah, because they're just sugar pills now. But just the medicine is right on top of the sugar pills. You bet. Yeah, I actually had used for my first one, but it didn't work as well as I wish it had. Red raspberry leaf tea, and that was pretty awful too. I thought you said it tames the uterus, which seems it would slow things down. No, it moves things along where it's supposed to go. It doesn't force. Homeopathic medicines generally don't force an action. They are polite. They gently stimulate the body's ability to make the correction itself. Doesn't tame it, it works with it. So It does not, we do not manipulate. Synthetic drugs manipulate, and there are times when we want synthetic drugs to manipulate. If you're going into surgery, you want that drug to manipulate your body into not feeling the pain. No kidding. However, when it comes to birth, we don't, or headaches, or any other conditions, or many other conditions, I should say, we want a medicine that is gentle and just stimulates the body's natural ability to correct and to move forward in the proper way, the way the body knows how to do it. Would you ever use this in a 1M or a 10M to move the labor along? And does it work for uterine hemorrhage? It can work for a uterine hemorrhage if we're talking about labor. I have no experience in using Caulophyllum for uterine hemorrhages around menses, for example, or around menopause. And no, I would not, I don't think it's, I mean, would I ever use a 1M or 10M? I might go to a 1M, but every single time I have taught folks to use this, it works in the 200, every single time. What is labor progresses? What if it progresses too quickly? Contractions 1 to 2 minutes apart, lasting 1 to 2 minutes. Wow, I don't know. That's not too quickly to me. That sounds great. Nice and fast. Get it done. I love that idea. I don't know about why that would be too quick. To me, that would seem appropriate. You don't want to be in labor for long periods of time. But, I mean, that means the birth's going to be over in a few minutes. Okay, natural birth, short labors, and just a few pushes. You bet. That's exactly the way we want it. A friend of mine was way overdue, and within 15 minutes of the remedy, labor began, and midwife barely made it. You bet. That's how fast this medicine can act. Especially if it's the time. This is the time, and the medicine's just going to stimulate gently. Me too, 90 minutes, few minutes of pushing. Beautiful, 90 minutes is that's a perfect birth, 90 minutes. But even an hour is good. And as I said, mine was an hour and 50 minutes. And I was out of the range of being a young mother. What about labor-like contractions coming weeks too early? I don't know that I would use Caulophyllum. I don't think it would do any harm, but I would go more with MagPhos, magnesium phosphoricum. Would this be useful for miscarriages that has a miscarriage that is not completed weeks after to complete it? Yes, it is good for that. There are others too. And I talk about that in my feminopathy course, depending on what's going on. But yes, is aconite the only option for extreme fear during labor, fear of losing control, and fear of death? Fear of death is aconitum. That is the perfect example of the use of aconitum napellus 200. But let's say it's been tried, and that's why you're asking this question. It's already been tried and hasn't helped. We don't just use one dose, remember. We're going to use a few doses. You're going to repeat it. Then, if that has been used and repeated, aconitum at 200, and it has not produced the effect that you need, then I would go to Caulophyllum. Absolutely. Man, I wish I'd known about this for my home birth. You bet. You bet. Every midwife needs to have Caulophyllum 6 and 200 in her labor bag. And I think that's it. I think we're done. I'm afraid I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter than I did last time. Thankfully, we didn't break up. I don't know, Facebook likes me again or something. I don't know. So ladies, be sure to learn as much as you can. Make this your mission. We want this to get out to everyone, and I want you to learn as much as you can so that you are always prepared. And soon I will be discussing a course that I'm putting together on pain, and that is going to be, I think, a watershed course for many folks, because we need to know what to do about pain, because pain doesn't just tell us, oh, well, I'm going to be coming in about 2 weeks, so you have time to prepare. No. Pain goes bam, and suddenly that's our life or our loved one's life. So be prepared, know your medicines, and own your medicines. And with that, I say, God bless to all of you. Mwah. You're never fully dressed without a smile. Boop, boop, be-doo. Good night, folks.